a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got Jason Mears in the house, Florida Best Quote Insurance. We're going to talk about flood insurance, things happening in that space, as well as Jenny Restrepo going to be coming in talking about title insurance and some of the different fraudulent schemes and scams that are happening out there in that aspect as well. And before we get into it, I want to let you know about our Tampa restaurant partner, Brio Tuscan Grill. The official restaurant partner for Tampa is Brio. And they are right at the International Mall, the West Shore Mall there. International Mall, rather, just north of the West Shore Mall. Excellent food. I love their salmon salad that they have. It's super awesome. They've got some really awesome dishes as well, delicious dishes, including all types of pastas and, of course, those traditional Italian. They're all from scratch as well. From scratch, Tuscan-inspired recipes. And they have Monday through Friday happy hour. Also, private dining experiences as well. Upstairs banquets. You have rehearsal dinners, corporate events, and weddings, etc. Available there. Catering also. Brio Tuscan Grill. Make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Say hello to Chef Oscar Ramirez or Joseph, the general manager. And they're going to hook you up with a free appetizer just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. So, yeah, take them up on that offer. Say hello to them. And we're going to jump right into it. Before we do, a couple of hot listings here from the Platinum MVP team. 140 Glendower Circle. This is unit number 1, Sun City Center. We have a single-family home, 55-plus community, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. You have an attached carport with an additional golf cart parking. Oversized utility laundry, enclosed glass lanai, 140 Glendower Circle, unit number 1 in Sun City Center, Florida. One of our hot listings from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. 1301 Rowan Tree Drive, large single-family home. Owner motivated here. This is a great opportunity. This is a beautiful property. We have wood flooring on the interior. You have 4,500 square feet at 1301 Rowan Tree Drive. This is a really nice listing that we have here in Tampa Bay. You can see all of our listings online, by the way, at platinummvpteam.kw.com. That one as well on Rowan Tree is the owner's motivated, ready to make a deal on it. PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check out PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, let's welcome in Jason Mears back in studio, Florida Best Quote. Welcome back. And the topic for today is we wanted to go a little heavy on flood insurance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, thanks again, man, for allowing me to be here. I always enjoy coming into the studio.
My pleasure.
But yeah, I think there's just a lot of miscommunication, misinformation out there about flood insurance, what it covers, whether people should have it or not, what are flood zones. We saw a lot of devastation with Hurricane Ian, so we can talk about that a little bit too. So
yeah, What did you see? How is that shaken out?
Well, I mean, I think we're seeing citizens react to that as well. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with the fact that Citizens is going to be requiring all their policyholders to have flood insurance. I think a lot of that's coming from what happened in the Fort Myers area. The last stats I saw, close to $4 billion has been paid out by the National Flood Insurance Program to about 48,000 policyholders.
Wow.
That were impacted by Hurricane Ian. So along this coast, along the West Coast, or East Coast, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So then when you look at what they're doing in response to that, so now even people that are in Lakeland, Davenport, center of the state, they're going to have to pay flood insurance?
Yeah, and I think that's so. There's a couple of different things. You've got the National Flood Insurance Program. That's people get flood policies through throughout the country, and then here in Florida we've got Citizens, which is the state-run home insurance program, and then you've got all these other private home insurance companies that write throughout the state of Florida. So Citizens is requiring all their policyholders to have flood insurance. It's just a matter of when. Okay. So it's already in stone. They've got a schedule of when it's going to start. Right now, any new policies that we're writing with Citizens, that if you're in an A or a V, which basically means a moderate or higher risk flood zone, then you're going to have to get flood insurance. Now, if you have a lender, you're already going to have to anyway, but it's really currently it's affecting those cash buyers who would say, I don't need flood insurance, regardless of what flood zone I'm in. They're having to get it right now.
Wow. Yeah. So because they would typically want to say, hey, I'm just going to self-insure and,
Right.
roll the dice a little bit, so to speak.
Yeah. And I think the big concern, and this is really the main thing I would want to touch on, there's a lot of misinformation about, and I've seen it on the news, just people saying, well, I'm going to have to get flood insurance. Well, that is true. If you want to keep Citizens as your home insurance company, they are going to require it. But where it really impacts people is in that low-risk flood zone, like if you're in an X flood zone where your lender would not require you to have flood insurance. Those people are going to have it if you want to keep Citizens, but they're going to roll it out over the next 4 years. So starting in January of next year, if you have $600,000 or more of coverage with them, you've got to get flood insurance. And then every year after that, it's $500,000, $400,000 of dwelling coverage. And then the majority of people that would really struggle with having to pay for flood insurance, that's the people with dwelling coverage of $400,000 or less on their building. They're not going to have to get it with Citizens until 2027. So I think that's the main thing for people to realize. You might have to get flood insurance, but for the majority of Citizens policyholders, that's not going to be until 2027. So by then, you could maybe home insurance rates will go down. We can get you written with another company. You wouldn't have to worry about it.
And Jason, what are you seeing in terms of these non-renewal letters, those types of things? And then when they do get those letters, cost-wise, how much has it gone up?
So that's the big picture in all this is Citizens just has too many policies, right? And so they're trying to dump policies, and they do that in a lot of different ways. So one of the ways they're doing that is depopulation. So what they're doing, basically where they're offering clients another option, and that option could be a lot more expensive. And there are hundreds of thousands of Citizens clients getting these letters right now. Some that have already gotten them, some that are going to be getting them in the coming weeks. And so they have to make sure, I would really, really stress, if you get something from Citizens, you need to read it. Because what's happening is they're giving you another option. They've shopped your policy. Here's another option. They're going to move you to that option unless you respond. Okay. You have to respond and say, no, I want to stay with Citizens. Now, the tricky part is some of those people are not going to be allowed to stay with Citizens. They're going to have to move no matter what. And that's where you really need to read the fine print on on those non-renewal letters that are coming to Citizens.
Right.
We're not going to keep you as a result of, we found an option that's within 20% of our premium.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're non-renewing you.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear from you, the listener, and our audience out there, if you've had these letters coming in. What have you seen? What's the reaction, and how much has your policy gone up? Reach out to the hotline. We'd love to talk to you. And if you'd like, also, we can put you in touch with Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote Insurance here, 727-263-3707. I'd love to get your feedback. It's really my pleasure to speak to our audience, and I love getting the text messages as well. You can call or text 727-263-3707. And I just want to kind of know what your feedback is. What's your general thoughts around insurance, and what kind of increases have you seen? And I think there's some challenging times, and of course it's part of the real estate market. This overall, when you take a look at on a overall aspect of the payment, because that's what really drives real estate and people's choices, consumers' choices. I got an interesting article here, too, about consumers' spending. It says Americans are negative about the economy, but they are still spending up a storm. This is one of the major news networks writing this. Just 2% of voters say the economy is excellent, and I'd like to meet those 2%. But I guess there's a margin of error in every poll. 66% polled by CNN say they will be extremely important. The economy will be extremely important as they vote. Inflation, while falling from a peak pandemic level, almost twice the Federal Reserve's annual 2% target rate, yet faster spending helped double the rate of economic growth in the last quarter. So it's a conundrum of spending amid the gloom stems from a still strong labor market. which gives people confidence to be big spenders. So you think about that. See, people are spending. What are they spending on? But I know in Florida and it's some other pockets in the United States, Jason, people are spending more and more money on their housing expenses.
Yeah, they are, for sure. And I think that's, speaking of flood insurance, I think that's one of the things that people are considering, should I have it? I know the Fort Myers, the hurricane that came through that area really caused a lot of people to kind of wake up to the fact that everyone in Florida is in a flood zone.
Yeah.
Right. There's no such thing as no flood zone. I heard a realtor this morning at another event say, yeah, they're not in a flood zone. That's just not correct information.
Yeah.
It just means you're in a low enough flood zone where your mortgage company is not making you get flood insurance.
Right.
But depending on the stats that you read, anywhere from 20 to 25% of all the flood claims from Hurricane Ian were with people that were in low risk flood zones, ex-flood zones. And of course, a lot of those people did not have flood insurance.
Wow. And
so we recommend that everybody consider it, at least check and see what the rates are for the flood insurance. I do want to clarify one thing. A lot of people wonder, well, what does flood insurance cover? I just want to make clear that it's rising water from outside of your house coming into your house. That's what flood insurance is. It's not my roof is leaking and it floods my house. A pipe busted and it flooded my house.
Right.
That's all part of the water damage coverage on your home insurance policy.
Right.
It's all about water outside coming in, and that's what flood insurance covers.
Water intrusion.
Yes.
It's intruding into the property through, an opening or something along those lines. That's a good way to think of it is, because a lot of times people look at their policies, and I think you got to be careful also is looking at your policies, look at the riders, and consider. Is it a wind event, right? Because sometimes the insurance companies will say, oh, well, no, this was a wind event versus a rising water situation, or you had deferred maintenance. You should have taken care of that deferred maintenance. Therefore, that's what caused the incident. So you got to be careful about that too, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that can be a little bit confusing too, is you've got a lot of people that, well, for instance, with Fort Myers, you had a hurricane technically caused a lot of the flooding. So does that fall under your flood insurance, or does it fall under your hurricane or the hurricane portion of your home insurance policy? and I think that has something to do with why Citizens is taking these actions with requiring flood insurance, is that there can be a lot of confusion about where does this fall under my policy? Is it under the cause, or is it and so it just kind of gets rid of a lot of that confusion.
Sure.
But I think people that's why people, I think, need to at least consider flood insurance. It can be extremely reasonable. It's at least worth a quote, if nothing else. We write with around 20 private flood insurance companies along with the national program. So we can usually find you a pretty good deal on flood insurance. It's something to consider.
And I think that's one of the key components too when you think about our show and the way that we've established this brand at over 10 years is that we work with local experts that are going to be able to shop your policies or mortgages. Right, we're gonna shop and find the best deal. So that's why you want to work with us. That's why you want to work with our team. ConsumerQB.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors. More with Jason Mears coming up. Before we go to break, though, I want to play a quick clip here. This was an interesting clip. This has to be a debate. When you think about the debate and you think about an opening statement, this has to be the best opening statement. And Vivek Ramaswamy nailed it. Check out what he said on the presidential debate. Best ever opening.
And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to Governor Christie. Why you?
Yeah, has to be hands down the best opening statement of any debate in the history of the planet. I mean, Trump had some great one-liners here and there, but that, just as far as an opening and everything that he was able to squeeze into that quick opening. And yes, I think it would have been a much more viewed if you had people like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, Dan Bongino as well, asking questions, being the debate moderators, asking the hard questions, not a lot of the softballs that they give a lot of times. All right, we're taking a quick break there. Coming back, more with Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote. We're going to talk about insurance here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, a question coming up, too, is about business policies. We're going to jump into that as well. And more here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you've been listening to the phenomenal Brandon Rhymes, the Consumer Quarterback Show.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
I want to give a special thanks to Satellite Phone Store. They just hooked me up with this beautiful satellite phone, and it's a gorgeous phone. It's a great device. It's a safety device as well. Think about it. If you're out on the boat 40, 50 miles out, maybe you're going hunting or you're going hiking in the woods somewhere, you run out of cell phone service, or who knows, maybe a possible terrorist attack. It's not like our politicians aren't entrenched in all this stuff going on overseas, all over the place, all over the world. Could be a terrorist attack. They could attack the power grid. They could attack the cell phones. Who knows what they're going to attack next. Sat123.com/REQB. Sat for satellite. Sat123.com/REQB, like real estate quarterback.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We always feature our listings as a strategy to help sellers sell faster for more money. Our sellers, our clients absolutely love having their property featured live on air on the program, reaching thousands of people every single day. And you can do that as well if you'd like to have your property listed. Just reach out. We'd love to talk to you about it and feature your property live on air, reaching our list, of course, our listening audience, and then, of course, all of the, MLS, Zillow, Realtor.com, all the basic and traditional marketing, social medias, postcard mailers, things of that nature, open houses. 4501 Garnett Drive, waterfront property on the canal. This is a waterfront community as well. You have a community boat ramp as well at 4501 Garnett Drive. This is Newport Richey, 2-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 2215 square feet. You have an oversized garage, a large family room. You got a loft upstairs. Beautiful property here. Quick access to Tampa International as well. This is a Gulf Harbors community. Waterfront clubhouse, heated pool, tennis courts as well. 4501 Garnett Drive, one of our hot listings. 5422 Glen Ivy Place. This is Glen Ivy Place North. This is a single-family property here. Beautiful home. We have an immaculate and affordable 2-bedroom, 2-bath home with garage nestled in a prime location in the heart of Pinellas County. This is Springwood Villas community, close to everything. Modern upgrades include stainless steel appliances, a brand new fridge. You have reverse osmosis water system, 50-gallon water heater, handicap accessible shower, as well as about $16,000 safe step-up tub, shower tub. So it's one of those sets of tubs there where you can get in there safely. 5422 Glen Ivy Place North, Pinellas Park. And you can see all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com. All right, we got Jason Mears in the house. Jason, in our final minutes here, we just kind of wanted to touch on just the overall approach, too, for the consumers. A lot of our listeners are business owners, so you have a wide variety of products and services that you offer.
Yeah, we have one advantage, I feel like, over virtually all of the other insurance agencies in the state. We write with more companies, bottom line. I mean, we have around 50 home insurance companies we write with, around 20 flood insurance companies, 13 or so auto insurance companies. We have a commercial division where we can write business policies and get those shopped out as well. Of course, things like umbrella policies, things of that nature. So I think we combine the education. We have a lot of experienced agents. I've been one for 11 years. And then just a lot of options. So we feel like if we have the options and we know what we're doing on our end and we get quotes out quickly, then that's something that is something we offer that most agencies don't have.
When you mentioned the term umbrella policy, what is that?
So it depends. A basic umbrella policy is going to increase the liability coverage on your home insurance, and it's going to increase the liability coverage on your auto insurance. That's a typical umbrella policy. They're usually pretty affordable. There's also companies that will do premises only umbrella policies. They're more premises only liability, where you can just add $1 million liability coverage to your home, and that's it. It won't add it to your auto insurance, but that's separate. But those are two different types of umbrella policies where they're just adding liability coverage to your policies.
In case you're having some type of a get together party or something like that, you can have a policy there as well.
Yeah, and if you businesses like yourself and others that want to put on a big event, and if there's any risk involved at all, there are event policies where covers liability on big events. I know a lot of the cities have to do that and towns have to do that for different events that they have just to cover themselves. So those would be considered event liability policies.
With artificial intelligence and the deep fake videos, are you seeing an uptick, or have you heard, I know it's not your personal line, but you got business partners, I think, within your organization that cover the businesses and cyber, those types of insurances. Are you seeing that or hearing about that?
We're seeing there are policies like that, yes, you're right. It has been increasing, and so those are policies that are, or individual policies that are being written to try to protect companies from that sort of attack, but I think that's something that's going to be increasing even more. It'll be interesting to see where we go.
Right.
From here.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in that space. It's evolving so quickly. They had their AI summit not a couple weeks ago, I think it was. I heard some after the fact talks about it, but I think the consensus that I heard was, it was just a lot of people talking about things and at least doing something, saying that, hey, we had a meeting on it, but there's not really much application yet. Yeah,
and this is one of those areas where home insurance companies, in my opinion, have a tendency to be a little bit late to the party in making changes. They've done that with solar panels, for instance, PEX plumbing. There's newer PEX plumbing that's been around for years, covering things like that. They're just slow to try to adjust to those things. A lot of companies are. So I feel like I hope that's not going to happen with this area, but I feel like a lot of companies are just kind of in wait and see mode to determine kind of what do we need to do, to combat potential risk. But it's coming.
Yeah, and this is the time to get a review as well. If you haven't done a review, take a look at your policies. This is a good time to do it. A little slower time of the year for some people, but Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote Insurance, he's our go-to guy. We want you talking to him, working with him, reaching out to the show hotline online at consumerqb.com. And Jason, what's the best site or contact for you?
Oh, they can reach our websites, www.floridabestquote.com. They can also follow me on social media at Florida Insurance Tips. That's my username. And then they can reach me at 813-385-4441.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thanks for coming in. Appreciate those nuggets of updates there. And
it's always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time. All right, hey, taking a quick break. Coming back, we've got Jenny Restrepo going to be in studio with us. Insured Title Agency. We're going to talk about what's happening out there in the real estate space, some of these fraudulent activity, scams, and other things happening. ConsumerQB.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get into